Lecture 6. Gateway. The Atitlan giant grebe was a large, flightless bird that had evolved from the much more widespread and smaller pied-billed grebe. By 1965, there were only around 80 birds left on Lake Atitlan. One immediate reason was easy enough to spot. The local human population was cutting down the reed beds at a furious rate. This destruction was driven by the needs of a fast-growing mat-making industry. But there were other problems. An American airline was intent on developing the lake as a tourist destination for fishermen. However, there was a major problem with this idea. The lake lacked any suitable sporting fish. To compensate for this rather obvious defect, a specially selected species of fish called the largemouth bass was introduced. The introduced individuals immediately turned their attentions to the crabs and small fish that lived in the lake, thus competing with the few remaining grebes for food. There was also little doubt that they sometimes gobbled up the zebra-striped Atitlan giant grebe's chicks. Exercise 1. Let's face a difficult and painful truth. Most of us don't know how to live an authentic, effective, healthy, and fulfilling life. This fact is obvious, but we resist seeing it and facing it. We don't want to see our limitations. We don't want to face our shortcomings, because that means we'll have to do something about them. We'll have to work at getting and learning new information. We'll have to ask for help. We are not skillful when it comes to knowing how to live a balanced and satisfying life. Our unreasonable expectations create a false pride that prohibits us from letting others know that we do not have the answers, that we need help. Some of us try to become wantless. When our false pride is in charge, ignorance becomes something of which to be ashamed. Being ignorant doesn't fit with our self-image, so we deny it. We become more concerned with saving face rather than saving our behinds. Exercise 2. Traditional medical and public health approaches to illness and health are among the successes of modern science. However, society today is faced with the increasing incidence of various forms of poor health related to modern lifestyles. Contributing factors include a large sedentary population, high levels of psychological stress related to urban living, and contemporary work practices. In addition, people with disabilities and chronic illness demand a transition from institutional care to care in society. These problems encourage thinking about alternative ways to prevent disease and promote health. Lack of physical activity and stress have led to increased occurrence of certain diseases where medication is perhaps only reducing the symptoms rather than combating the true causes of illness. Efforts to promote public health and well-being have thus become increasingly complex. Exercise 3. Increasing commercialization is the main cause of changing social structures. Most traditional rice-growing communities organize their society and festivals around the annual cycle of rice growing. Farmers who are growing rice for profit rather than for lifestyle are less inclined to spend resources such as time, money, and rice to celebrate traditional religious beliefs. Traditional farmers see rice as a gift from the gods and the very support of life. Commercialization breaks down this traditional culture bit by bit. Eventually, farmers adopt the same attitude as many farmers in industrialized nations who see producing food simply as a means to make money, lacking any religious significance. They come to see a successful rice crop as being the result of spending money on fertilizers, pesticides, machinery, or irrigation, manipulating and controlling the ecosystem rather than working within its confines. Exercise 4. Sometimes new technology, even that encouraged by law, brings with it new risks, and we are forced to face the unthought-of consequences of a seemingly good idea. In recent years, the increased use of crops like corn in the manufacture of biofuels intended to ease our dependence on foreign oil, decreased the food supply and caused prices to rise. To avoid this problem, non-food crops have increasingly been proposed for making second-generation green fuels. But biologists have warned that certain reeds and wild grasses known to naturalists as invasive species and to gardeners as weeds would have a high likelihood of taking over nearby fields, presenting serious threats to the ecology and economy of a region. Investors in the fast-growing worldwide biofuels industry naturally reject such horrible scenarios, but the risk is a real one. Exercise 5. The memories we need to solve a problem do not necessarily